It's interesting.
Busy.
I have us live just so everybody knows. It's
Okay.
interesting trying to explain to people that my weekends are often more busy than my weekdays. They're like, "What do you
Yes.
mean? That's
Yeah.
your day to like chill out." No. No,
No,
it's not.
absolutely not.
Yeah, everyone's like, "You're free on Sunday." I'm like, no, Sunday is podcast day because I do up 2 podcasts sometimes on a Sunday. Sometimes more than that because like we do the snack podcast on Sundays as well. But because that's a small podcast, we do multiple of it so that we have, spoilers more out in a row rather than having to worry about, constantly recording. So some Sundays I'll be like, okay, well, it's 5 o'clock. Time to record for an hour and a half. Okay, now I get to eat. Okay, time to record
Yeah.
for another 2.5 hours. Okay, now I get to raid. Yay. Okay, when do I sleep?
I know.
That's a good
Weekends are
question.
busy.
I had such a hard time getting to sleep today.
Oh no! Just like couldn't stay asleep or couldn't fall asleep.
Both.
Dang it.
Yeah. I kept having dreams about being late to podcasts.
Oh no, Seth.
Yep. Yep.
You did great. You were the first one here. You were ready. You were prepared.
Gotta be. Ugh. All right, chat. Lovely, beautiful chat. Good morning, good afternoon. Do we sound kind of the same? Like,
Yes.
volume wise? Not voice wise. We all sound very
Yeah.
different.
Well,
I know it's going to be hard to differentiate our voices on this podcast because we all sound exactly the same and have the same accents and everything. But
I'm the American one, right?
yes.
Yeah. You sure are, partner.
Yeah. Sorry.
Real live voice acting from Dawn Trail in the Western themed area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is Girl Squad, yeah. And a duck goose seagull. What are we today?
I'm a seagull.
It's a
I
beautiful
kept calling
cloud
you a goose.
seagull.
I'm so sorry.
I
I
really
mean, maybe
love
you are
that
a
you.
goose in another way. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe. I love that you filled Aldino's cam today with that picture of Yoshi P.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I was just kind of like, what the heck really encompasses all the stuff we're going to be talking about today? Yoshi P saying Naitomea.
Naito.
Yeah.
Well, there's good stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's been causing a
Yeah,
lot of
I'm gonna-
discussion in the community.
I'm going to say there's a lot of positivity here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of positivity. I mean, one of them could be positive, one of them could be bad, but most of it's positive, I'd say.
Yep. I agree.
All right. Well, we've been promised that this sounds good, so let's get this thing started. Why wait any longer other than it's so fun to just shoot the shit at the beginning of an episode? All right. I'm going to start this, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.
This is Naoki Yoshida,
This is Fern Halls.
and you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go!
Do you ever just have that moment right before a podcast starts where you're like, what do I say when this starts?
Brain goes completely empty. Yes.
Yeah. Hi! We're
What if you
Aetheryte
say the
Radio.
wrong podcast intro?
Yes. This
Hi.
is Moogle Go Round with Chille, and also we're the guests, Anidra and Rook.
This is Brain Empty
Yay.
Talk on Aetheryte Radio.
Yes.
Gamers
No,
Games
we-
Final Fantasy 14 podcast.
There you go. That's the rest of that.
Sweet, our quality's improved.
Hey.
Ah,
Anyway, as we said last time, these intros, they're just whatever we want now. Sorry, not sorry, Fusion.
We should have, you know what, with Chille here, Chille, I know that you have a love, at least for Final Fantasy music. We should have done a musical intro today, I'll just sing a little bit.
You know what?
think it would've worked
There's
out.
going to be an opportunity about a month from now when Charles has to go on a business trip for us to just sing the intro. Yeah.
I think we need to come up with something. I think
All
we
right.
do. I think we
I'll
do.
make a note. As we've mentioned, our guest today is Chille of Moogle Go Round. Today is a news
Hello?
episode. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You should introduce yourself. Hi.
hi, yeah, I am Chille from Moogle Go on Radio. I talk way too much, and you will understand that during this podcast. There's my intro.
Excellent. That's why
There's
we
no
want
such
you
thing.
here.
Exactly.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, today's news on news on news on news. We got some regular news, like from the Lodestone and stuff, and then we got some just internet crazy raven ranting and also having a good time news. So, as per the norm, we'll start with, regular. It's not regular ass news.
Are we going to cover just regular news too, or is it all ass news? Zanitra?
It's ass news.
Okay, great.
A lot of this is repeats, but it's shortened, and we want to make sure that nobody misses out in case you didn't, hear last time. Patch 6.58 is March 19th, which is very soon. Increased echo strength in Pandemonium, Anabaso Savage, and Anabasios, that one, the last one. Adjustments to PvP actions. Also, Crystalline Conflict Season 10 will end, so you need to get your little Battle Pass doodly doodle done so you get your really sweet-ass armor. It's very cool.
No,
See?
this is the season that ends. Your Battle Pass should still be available until Dawn Trail. This is just your ranks, if I'm rightly.
This
Well,
is the never-ending headache of this new system.
Yeah.
I love the Battle Pass. I think it's great, but every time I'm like, a season is ending? Is this when the
previous season,
but are
I
the
thought was
rewards
not the
done?
one.
But
Okay,
is it-
so
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Do not listen to me. It's a good thing Chille is here. Also, thank you, chat, for also
Yeah.
putting me straight. Although some of you last time in chat were like, "No, it's totally this time." It's not your fault. I should have up on it.
The season ends, which is your rank, which goes up to Crystal, if I'm rightly. I am just a gold, so I don't remember. I'm not sure exactly.
I think you're right. I think it's Crystal. This is Final
Crystal-
And
Fantasy.
then-
Crystal's highest, yeah.
And then series is your battle pass, which goes up to rank 30, which will end. That ends on a major patch. There's normally like a season between half patches.
Oh my god. Why is it season?
and then the
it's
series lasts the full
Yeah,
patch.
exactly. Gold stars. They should rename
Yeah,
them. They can't
yeah.
both start with S. Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry
yeah,
for that.
trust me,
that
it's very
misinformation.
confusing.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative for chat and Chille, also Chicha, for correcting me.
The one good thing though is that if you constantly live in fear of it going away, you'll get it done. So
That's true.
even if you were to just continue to operate under the false impression that it ends as of March 19th, get to grinding, get it finished, and then you won't have to worry about it when you're also prepping for Dawn Trail, Just get it done, get those
I was
rewards.
just doing you a favor.
Yeah, exactly.
Next
This
week
is
we
us
were gonna be
helping.
like, haha, just kidding, haha, but look, you're done. No, I would never do that to anybody. Holy crap. All right.
But
you
yeah, I would
also-
suggest maybe just doing your daily front lines, because
That's
that
what I
will
did.
boost it by a lot.
Twas fast.
So yeah.
Fast and mostly painless. And even fun sometimes when we were winning, and even fun sometimes when we were losing, but mostly not when we were losing.
Look, Crystalline Conflict is always fun. So if you're like me and you grind it out through CC every time, go have fun. Have a great time.
The last time with the Battle Pass, I did grind out through CC in the last 4 days, so I needed a break.
No, that is rough. When you're trying to cram it in these tiny windows. Oh no, I've been there. Yeah. I am still waiting for them to bring that dragon mount back. I was 2 Crystalline Conflict short when it reset, so it's fine. I'll get over it one day, but today is not that day. So
I would like it if you could maybe you I know there's not many battle passes that do this. Oh, sorry, series pass when it comes to 14. But it'd be interesting if you would be able to buy the series pass with tomes, make it cost 2,000 tomes or a ton of wolf marks, and then you can have that as a permanent thing added to your account. So that way, even when it ends, you can keep grinding it.
Oh, I really like that idea. I mean, okay, sorry, this just blew my mind. I think you could get away with it being tomestones if you still had to do the reward track, right? Where it was one of those things where you still had to play
bought the right
PvP.
to do it.
Yeah, you just unlocked it so that it didn't phase out kind of thing, and you could keep toggle on which one you wanted to work on. Otherwise, I would be totally fine if they wanted to do it for wolf marks too, because I end up with so many extra, or you can convert your crystals to wolf marks or wolf collars. I feel like it would be totally fine to do that. It sounds like at some point they were thinking about adding some kind of vendor, or at least from previous interviews and things. I have no idea if this is really going to end up being a thing. It hasn't shown up yet, where you could purchase past series rewards. But so far we haven't seen them do that or cycle through all of it.
I think that was a mistranslation from stuff, because from what it sounded like to me was that. But then I also thought it also sounded like you could buy. The series pass would continue after the series ended, but you couldn't continue it. That's what it also sounded like to me. If you reached that level but hadn't accepted it, after it ended, you should have been able to accept the stuff you had already earned. I don't know if, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since that interview. It's been a long time.
There's definitely a precedent with PvP of getting older stuff that was no longer gettable just with wolf marks now. So it's possible. There's possible to loop back around. It's a small
I'll admit,
but...
I use all my wolf marks because I raid on Crystal, but I have an Aether character, so I have to data center travel. So I use all my wolf marks to buy the squadron item to increase food time.
Yeah.
Fair.
All right. You will no longer, this is the one we've been harping on. You'll no longer be able to play Final Fantasy XIV using Windows 32-bit OS and DirectX 9 applications. This is the last time, you guys. We will be here next week, and this will already have come to pass, and we won't be able to, we could still tell you, but it would be way too late for us to tell you that you've got to update this stuff if you haven't. So do it. Xbox Final Fantasy XIV Xbox Series Blah version release is March 21st. You will get the starter edition, which includes A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and Stormblood, available free as an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate perk for a limited time. It's a very, very limited time, March 21st to April 19th. I believe somebody here has some issues with this.
I kind of do. My issue is the fact that the starter edition, although it sounds cool because it also removes all the limitations of the free trial, so you don't have the guild cap, you don't have the party issues, you don't have the link shell, free company, and all that lot issues.
Can't trade.
That you did with the free trial. My issue is the fact that if you're starting this game for the first time, jumping in on the Xbox version, you won't be able to claim the free trial after you've claimed the Star Edition because it blocks you out of doing the free trial. So my issue with this is the fact that I think it's a good idea in theory. As someone who might be in Heaven's Ward, if and really enjoying the game and fine paying the sub, but the fact that you're limited between March 21st to April 19th means that you're going to be hit with the FOMO issue of the fact that you'll want to grab it because you know it's there and it's going to be going away. which means that you're tied into having to sub to the game, versus those that have the free trial that can play around Reborn, Heaven's Ward, and Stormblood and not pay anything at all until they're actually ready to pay something. And that's my issue with it. There was no date for the ending. It'd be fine.
Yeah, it's so limited too. A month, less than a month, is just not enough time, especially for somebody who shows up later to the party and is like, "Oh, I missed it." Cute. Like I had a friend who started playing this week, and they joined on Thursday, so they didn't get the car mount.
Oh no!
I was like, "That really sucks, buddy." I'm so sorry.
That's rough. So
He'll be back. He'll be back eventually.
Yeah.
So maybe you two can clarify for me, and maybe this will also help clarify for anybody who hasn't kept up with all the details, because I know I haven't. I'm sorry. But does this mean that the Xbox version will not have access to the free trial, including all of these? Is this a way?
You also have access to the free trial if you want to, from what we've heard. You will have the free trial. It's just that this is also offered if you have Game Pass Ultimate.
So if you want to get the expansions for free, you got to grab it now. But then you can never do the free trial.
That's just so weird to me, though, because with the free trial, you can just play through all of those literally for free, because Stormblood is now included in the free trial. So it's not like they're really giving you. It's not like they're giving you the whole Hydaelyn Zodiark arc or something. Like
this starter edition is tricky nonsense. Honestly, a starter edition should include all of the expansions.
Yeah, it's like how does this? Okay, I'm having to now evaluate things that I have not actually given that much thought. With the free trial, well, hold on. I was going to ask, with the free trial, when you play through the free trial, and I guess the difference here is that, like, you play through the free trial, you decide that you want to actually commit to the game, so then you buy, like, whatever the most recent expansion is, but those include the previous expansions, correct? So, like, you get all the other ones included with this new one. So if you're getting this, you're paying your sub earlier, but you're also technically getting less game than if you just played through the whole free trial and then bought Endwalker or Dawn Trail. I assume Dawn Trail will also have some kind of bundle with the other expansions. I don't know.
It's kind of a trick, because you could basically just get the free trial. And
you could just get the free trial, and
you won't own the expansions yet. But if you play it through, you won't be stuck paying anything. And then when you're theoretically done with those, or you decide you want the game, you just buy the latest one and get all of them. It's a trick.
Interesting. That's very weird. And have they confirmed whether or not you have to pay your subscription on top of the Game Pass?
Yes, you do.
Oh no!
Yeah. Also, recently,
you need.
Several
By the way,
times
for that,
recently. Go ahead.
By the way, the confusion. If anyone that gets confused by this, because I want to make sure this is clarified exactly, because Xbox Live Gold doesn't exist anymore. They got rid of that. There is now 3 tiers of Game Pass. Well, technically 4, but from what we're discussing right now, only 3 count, because the 4th one is exclusive to PC. So this is Xbox. It doesn't matter. You have the Game Pass Core, which gives you access to online features and selected limited games. So think of, for anyone who's a PlayStation owner, think of PlayStation Plus collection, where you've got a set limited games that you can play. Those are the ones they picked. You can play those. Then you've got Game Pass, not Game Pass Core, but Game Pass, which is then the games that you can play that added day one when they come out. So any game that they announce like, oh, it's coming to Game Pass, it's coming to that tier. But that does not give you online features, so you can't play games online. So you need Game Pass Core and Game Pass to play those games online. So then you got Game Pass Ultimate, which then gives you Game Pass Core, Game Pass, and Game Pass PC. So if you want to play Final Fantasy 14 online, you do need to either have Game Pass Core, which is the cheaper version, or Game Pass Ultimate if you also want the standard Game Pass, perks. So you have to, I think it's like $15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate. Not including any discounts, but obviously you can get discounts on.
Almost $30 a month to play the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I will say Game Pass is an incredible value. I mean, the amount of other games that you get access to, even quite a few on release games as well. There's a lot more that you're getting for that than just the 14 subscription. But I can only imagine.
That's what I'm trying to clarify. You would not get those games that are included day one with Game Pass with the sub that you need for online 14.
Well, that's
you have to upgrade to Ultimate.
But you could.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's if you do Game Pass Core, you don't get those on release.
It also depends on the type of gamer you are, too. Like, if you don't want all the extra games, you just want to play 14, you're getting a bit screwed here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to play on Xbox.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. I mean, I guess you can get it for less by doing Game Pass Core, but you're still going to have to pay your sub on top of that, and you won't get the extra value of the other game catalog. But if you... what's the price difference between Game Pass Core and Game Pass Ultimate?
It's about $10.
Interesting. I almost feel like, from my personal opinion, it's more worth it to do Game Pass Ultimate, because then at least you're getting a bunch of other games for like less. For like, you know, you're getting a bunch of other games included with that, a huge catalog of new and old games that give you extra value. But I mean, already as it is, there are quite a few players who can't even play 14 because of the subscription. Like, they literally can't afford subscription games. And there's also players who maybe can afford the subscription but can't afford twice the amount of subscription. So it's rough on this, because I'm really glad it's coming to Xbox, and I'm really glad that there are options for it and that there at least are a couple tiers. But I kind of wish they would have come up with a slightly better bundle for this. I'm sure this is, I mean, there's a reason it hasn't been on Xbox before. This has been, it seems like a big point that has really caused friction in discussions of this when it comes to like whether or not Xbox would allow the game to be on the platform and vice versa, and what their stipulations would be. But it doesn't feel great when you're a player looking in on it and going, I have to pay twice as much as other players just to play this on a console that's convenient to me, you know?
Also, remember, if you are playing on Xbox, it's not just as simple as just playing on Xbox. You will need to go into your settings and change a load of things. Like, you can't just load up the game. You do have to go into your Xbox settings and actually physically change game settings. Cool. Because of the way that Microsoft is, they don't like people being able to play cross-network play by default. So you have to go into your Xbox beta. If anyone is thinking about playing the Xbox beta and don't know about this, here's what you have to do. You have to go under settings, account, privacy, and online safety, and then privacy, and then view details and customization. And then you got to go to communications and multiplayer. And then you got to allow for multiplayer games, allow for cross-network play. And then you also got to set others to communicate with voice, text, or invite set to everybody. And you also got to go to communicate outside of Xbox with voice and text set to everybody. You have to do all this before you're allowed to load up the free trial or open beta.
Do you have a guide for this
and
somewhere?
Also probably... I'm looking at Polygon's guide right now. But yeah, I think Square Enix also did an official guide as well on the Lodestone at some point.
Never saw that.
So yeah, so if anyone that's last rant, I'm sorry about this. I don't like ranting about.
Do it.
Please, Square Enix, announce the Dawn Trail pre-orders soon. Not for me as a PlayStation owner or even as a PC owner, but please announce it soon for Xbox players. I know that sounds weird, because I'm not even going to play on Xbox. I'm a PlayStation player, but please announce Dawn Trail soon and allow the pre-orders for Dawn Trail to give you Endwalker as soon as you pre-order it, because otherwise Xbox players are going to have to purchase Endwalker and then only a few months later fully purchase Dawn Trail. They're going to have to announce the pre-orders for Dawn Trail soon so that Xbox players can jump straight into... When I say that, I don't mean like they're not going to play Dawn Trail straight away. And but you know what I mean? Maybe so they can pre-order Dawn Trail and then release Endwalker as a version.
Expansion spend.
Yeah. So please do that. I don't want them to have to buy Endwalker and then Dawn Trail.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more Xbox news. There's a sweepstakes going on right now. Xbox FFXIV sweepstakes. #. You can find it pretty easy on Twitter. It's a really cool ass looking Aetheryte Xbox. And you can retweet to try and win. Thing is, it's not real. It's an art piece. So like if you want it because you want an Xbox, then you don't need it.
Wait, what do you mean? It's not real.
Okay, so
It's not a real boy.
it does not function.
Console.
It does not play games.
What?
It is
And it's
an
not
art
like
piece.
It's not a cover that you can like put on your existing Xbox? It's just
No,
a statue?
it's
What?
a statue.
What?
You do
In the-
win an.
in the
By the way,
fine
you do
print.
win a working. You do win
Oh,
a
you-
working Xbox.
Oh, okay, but they are also gonna give. But it's not even a cover. That's so weird.
No.
That's so weird. What are you gonna do? Have your fake Xbox sitting next to your real Xbox and be?
It's really cool looking, and if it
No, it's so
functioned-
cool.
If it functioned, that'd be the coolest damn Xbox ever. But it does not. It is a waste of space.
Like that's super
Wait.
cool, and I did enter the sweepstakes for it. Everybody else, I mean,
I
you
did
can see
too,
it.
and then I was like, oh, it's not real.
Oh my gosh.
I
that's
mean,
so
to be
funny.
fair though, it's not the only time you've seen stuff like that. It's been years, but you ever been to like GameStop or like anywhere like that in America, and they've got like the console that's playable, right? And then it's plugged into a TV, right? And then you got the booth where it's plugged in, right? A lot of the times, especially in the UK, the console on display is actually just a fake display unit with an LED to make it look like it's turned on, but the actual console itself is underneath it.
Huh. You think that's like a theft thing?
Yeah, it is. It is a theft thing. So that way, if someone robs the console, they've just robbed an LED light, basically.
Uh-huh.
That's what they've got a plastic box with an LED.
Rook, I love this cup. This dragon cup.
Little dragon. Thank you. I love it too. I just got it recently. Sorry, I collect mugs, and for those of you who are just listening, oh look at your cute little fox mug. Zanidra and I are both sipping out of our mugs today, so.
Mugs are fun. Anyway,
No, that's
yeah,
funny.
apparently you get a real Xbox, but it's not, the cool ass looking one, so.
Interesting.
I had to make sure I drop ass in there a little bit because I did promise ass news.
You did promise ass news. I did not realize that it was a prop Xbox, but it does look really cool.
It looks
and
amazing.
It would look great in a gaming room and stuff, And
But
it's nice that at least they're giving you a real one as well, because it would feel very weird if you got it and you were like, why does this not plug in? Like, what is-
It'd be good. It would be really good for like a streamer who's really into Final Fantasy and excited about the Xbox release. Just like put it on the shelf behind you, display it during your stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you just like, if you got like a cupboard or whatever, put the Xbox. If you'd like a digital player, just put the Xbox in the cupboard. Make sure there's like airflow at the back or whatever, and then just have that on the actual side. So you're like, look, there's my Xbox.
Do like the store. Put a little LED in it. Fun. All right.
Yeah.
Little Ladies Day is happening right now. If you looked around and gone, oh my gosh, it's Friday here. That's why. March 14th to April 1st. The quest to get the reward, the PD horn, which is the pink goo with the flower crown, is in Miketo's Amphitheater. And as always, various holiday items related to Easter and Little Ladies Day are on sale on the online store. And there's some quality Little Ladies Day like emotes and items and stuff that if you've missed out on them before, now's a great time to grab them. Pretty earrings, the fan dance is good. And we're gonna have the 10th anniversary 14-hour broadcast on April 12th. It's a bit out. It's at 8 p.m. PDT. We don't know what's going to happen during it yet. We might get some news on that later, but it's happening. Write it in your calendar, maybe. Who knows? It's at a decent time for America. 8 p.m.
Yeah. It's at 4 a.m. for me. It's great.
Yeah, perhaps not for you, but for us this time it is.
Yeah, it's always a trade-off, right? Like either JP has it comfortable and nobody else does, or JP and one other region like just barely are within the confines of being comfortable, and like usually it's going to either be EU or US. And I mean, I am so sorry, Chille,
know,
but if it's US, I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, it's probably
Well, to be fair though, it'll be going through the night for you, right? So like,
Yeah.
what you could do is just like halfway through we can like tag Like you can give me the baton like halfway through.
Yeah.
You can go to bed. I can watch the last
I
half.
was gonna say it is a
Yeah.
14-hour broadcast, so the first
Exactly.
2-3 hours will be all right. But then it's like I don't care, sleeping. For normal people, I'll be awake the whole time because I'm a weirdo. So the actual new Lodestone news we have today is the upcoming test of the cross-region data center. That's really cool. I don't remember if they've mentioned this before. They probably have, maybe. But suddenly they're like, hey, you remember that thing we might have talked about before? We're actually doing it. We have been working on it. And it's starting March 24th, very soon, at 8 p.m. PDT also, until the beginning of patch 7.0 maintenance. So that's happening for theoretically a while, a couple of months. We can only visit the Oceania data center, which makes sense. But yeah, I think that's going to be super cool.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have a whole lot of friends on other data centers, but I do hang out with some Aussies and some Kiwis. We can they were like, we can go to Oceania and you guys can experience what we experience all the time. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we will.
Amazing. I do love this because particularly with doing so much PvP casting and things like that, a lot of times it'll either be like EU or NA stuff. And while I have made an EU alt since then, I know a lot of times when Lithy and I cast together, Lithy doesn't have an NA alt. So then we're trying to broadcast the feed to somebody else it'll be nice to be able to go and visit. And while this isn't a full release of it, it is kind of testing those waters. And as we've heard, Square Enix is very hesitant about this because of the possible kind of culture clash, because of, a lot of different things within the different, regions. And I've heard a lot of folks talking even on Twitter and, other platforms about the fact that maybe initially they were really excited about this and then they got a little apprehensive given what we've seen with some of the opening up of data center travel, that it might mean that more so than ever, we're going to see kind of completely abandoned servers and others where the entire raid scene is funneling to one world region, one data center, those kinds of things. And it's interesting because I would rather us have the travel than not, because I do think that flexibility is something really great. And I think that especially if they update some of our social systems in the game, like free companies, like free company buffs, being able to be in more than one, being able to have access to those buffs even when you're on a different world. If they can kind of increase stuff like that, or with link shells or with other things where we can have more flexibility, or even maybe be in multiple FCs or own houses on different worlds that aren't our home world, etc., etc., I think that it will be a net gain overall. But I do understand some of the worries about this because we have seen that certain data centers have just been it's been so much quieter with some of this and some of the worlds and things. There's all these memes about which worlds are completely dead and stuff like that. Although of course there's still some people playing, but we have actually really seen that there has been kind of a descent onto specific points for specific things, and that it has grown much slimmer in other worlds when it comes to things like raid listings or stuff like that in public party finders. I don't know how both of you feel about it.
Well, I was on Crystal the day they unlocked Savage, and we were raiding that night. And we're like, let's look at the party finder, and there was 2 people on the day that the Savage was unlocked, and there was nobody doing anything. It's oh, this hurts.
Yeah, Crystal has suffered a bit, especially because when they initially split Aether into Aether and Crystal, people were like, oh no, panic, abandoned ship, I can't stay on Crystal, all the rating will be on Aether. It is very much, or was very much, a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so now, as a person on Crystal, if you want to go and party find, you have to go to Aether, because it's not really happening over on Crystal. Which, in the end, because it's available to go over there now, I don't really mind. It's not difficult to get there by any means, and it does help to condense the population, the parties of what you're looking for anyway. So having it all in one place is a slight inconvenience, but it's not that bad. And having it all smooshed together in one list rather than spread out is kind of nice, to be honest. I don't really I don't honestly think, though, when we change it so that you can cross across regions, that it's going to change the points we have now. Except maybe in the case of like Oceania, I don't know. Partially just because cultural and language differences, much less so obviously in the case of some EU, Oceania, and North America. But like, I doubt that suddenly the Japanese data centers are going to become a place where English-speaking players go to find party stuff to do. I could be absolutely wrong. You know, in Party Finder, you don't really need to talk too much if you know what you're doing. But, you know, I don't think that it's going to be an issue.
No, I could be wrong, but that's another difference. So, like, I might be 100% wrong about this, but I remember reading this a long time ago, if I'm rightly. Like, that's another cultural difference, though, with the Japanese players versus the North American and EU players, is that they use the Duty Finder and Party Finder completely different than we do. Like, the Duty Finder is actually for stuff that you complete. Like, they will use Duty Finder for raids.
Yeah, no,
and stuff.
you're right.
So, Party Finder is just for learning. Once you've learned it, they then just start using Duty Finder. Like, who uses Duty Finder in NA?
I mean, yeah, it's
for like savages, nobody, as far as I
nobody.
know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there are definitely cultural differences. There are things that, I mean, language barrier, like we talked about, even though we have some of the auto-translate features and things like that. It's something that I can understand why they're concerned about, but I also do think it would be such a boon if they can get it up and running, because really when you look at other MMOs on the market, there's more flexibility in being able to group with people, but there are still like large-scale regional divides, so EU versus NA and stuff like that, where you can't play with friends over there, or maybe you can be in a guild together, but you can't actually instance into stuff or see each other on maps or things like that. So this would be something that would be a big kind of leap for 14 that other games wouldn't necessarily have as much functionality in currently as they are. That's not to say that like none of them have the ability to do that.
Well, I hate to be swearing in this podcast for some people, but look at World of Warcraft, where you actually have a separate NA and EU client. They're completely different clients, and both require different purchases of the game, and both have their own split subscription. That's crazy compared to 14.
So I mentioned it earlier as a joke, visiting Oceania to experience the lag, but I think that might actually be a thing that prevents people from hopping data centers too, because I don't know about you guys, but I get really used to my ping, my level of lag or lack thereof, and how my abilities work based on server ticks and whatnot. Heading to a different data center, suddenly you're gonna have to get used to a different like rhythm to your rotation.
Yeah,
I've always played on NA, so I'm used to the ping. So the idea of like moving out to EU and not having ping, a bit, why am I suddenly Ultra Instinct?
I mean,
this is so
I think
good.
The next big step for them with this would be, especially because they've been doing all of these cloud, cloud server tests, right? If they can really get that rolling, and if they can get more flexibility in the programming and structure of this, so that you don't have to like physically go to Ether to, be able to participate in the Party Finder or things like that. If you were able to, just from your home world, go to the Party Finder and click like Aether, click Crystal, click whatever.
Nice.
And then be able to see what listings there were to join in and instance into groups easily based off of that. I think that would really help negate a lot of the problems with people either only trying to make characters or like bringing their characters to camp on those servers that have the raiding or have the role playing or have whatever content. It's not to say that it's not a good thing to kind of have hubs, but you reach a point where there's a lot of people there, and other places it kind of feels dead.
Nobody else can go.
Yeah, like nobody else can get on there because then the servers are full or other stuff like that. So I think it would help give an incentive to groups, especially if they made it so that, yeah, you could be on an FC anywhere and be a part of that FC.
And like, you mentioned earlier, having the buffs from your FC, being able to go to your summoning bell would be really great. So if you can access those things from your server, you're not jamming up somebody else's server, and you're able to access all of the stuff that you should have access to as a player.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that would make it too so that there's not just like dead servers, because people are just going to make a character wherever there's room because it doesn't matter as much. And of course there will still be some people who go to specific worlds and stuff like that, but I could see that being a big help. We're still a little ways from it though.
Just as man. Either way, it's nice to see them advancing forward with this sort of thing, so that eventually we're just all kind of one big server.
Yeah.
Now, my big question is, if this does happen and cross-region data center does happen and we're allowed to jump from server to server, can I have one big request, Yoshi P? Can I get a bigger friends list, because I've been capped for like forever? Please. Even if it's just like you have a friends list and a cross-data center friends list where they're both at 200, I'll accept that as well. Just I need more.
I definitely, every time I have like a friend join the game or make a new friend in the game, I'm like, hold on, I have to scroll through here and see whose name I no longer recognize. I don't know who you are. Get out of here.
They desperately need to update the friend interface. It's so bad. Like, it's so bad compared to almost any other game I play. The fact that it takes so long to load, the fact that half the time... It really does. Yeah, half the time it's not even showing you actively, like, who really is or isn't online. So then you have to, like, go down and click on them and, like, try to manually refresh their specific character to see if they might be online. The fact, too, that you can't just add somebody. Like, you have to, if they're on your world, then fine. If they're on your world and they're online and you can search their name, then you can add them. But it's not like you can just type in their account tag or something and then just be like, friend, and friend all of their characters on their account, or like block all of their characters on their account, or like they really do need to do an update and refresh of this. And maybe that comes years down the road when they've like worked out a lot of this data travel stuff and figured out how that affects the greater picture of things, or updated other systems. But like, we do need more space. We need more flexibility. You should be able to friend somebody even if they're not online. You should be able to friend them in a variety of different ways, or manage those connections better with blocking and stuff like that too, if you need to, for your own privacy and safety.
For safety reasons, it would be nice if you could block the account rather than character, because otherwise they can just keep making characters and pester you that way. Yeah. It would be nice if you could just block the account itself.
I had a friend who that happened to recently, and even if you block that one character, they just delete it, make a new one. Ugh.
Of course, this won't stop people from making the free trial and making multiple accounts using that.
Yep.
But at that point, there's not much Square can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that point, there's not much Square can do with that, except that you will have to somehow legally get involved with that. Like, I'm sorry.
Legitimate sympathies. Sorry. All right, so that is the Lodestone news. We're gonna look beyond the Lodestone today into the Aetherverse. Feels weird to say that, but the Aetherverse. So yeah, with Dawn Trail looming ever closer, there are just a bunch of rumors and interviews all over the place, and we're going to talk about those today, because Aetheryte Radio used to be / still is a news podcast. Yay! I think we're going to start small and go big. So Yoshi P really wants Final Fantasy XIV to have more crossover content with Final Fantasy VII, but he's waiting for the remakes to wrap up first, which means it'll be in 10 or so years when the game is over. He says, we have many plans and ideas and will continue to incorporate the essence of various titles from the series to serve as a theme park of the FF series, which we've heard for the longest time. Simply put, my personal wish is to approach Final Fantasy VII in earnest, but with the FF7 remake series in development, I don't want to get in their way. I would be very happy if we could do something together after the remake series is completed, and I'd like to ask players to support the FF7 remake series as well so that this can happen as soon as possible. I'm not sure how that works, Yoshi P, but I get that you're required to say that as a very important person on the Square Enix board. So we actually do already have some 7 nods if you think about it. We have the whole ass gold saucer. This is ass news too.
It continues.
Yes, that's a big reference, and the gold saucer is, I don't know about you guys, but I'm there all the time.
Yeah, so
There sometimes.
Especially
Sometimes
recently with the
you got the Chocobo racing from 7, so
yeah.
you know.
I was there a bunch recently with the MOG event because it would be like, I'm doing a little work, it's 20 minutes later, I'm doing the jumping puzzle, I'm doing a little work, it's 20 minutes later. It's just like a little cycle. And of course we have Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse. And Biggs and Wedge are themselves a Star Wars reference, and they are found in previous FF titles, very much like Sid. Not as prevalent as Sid, but still kind of like Sid. But still they are in 7. And I believe Jesse is just straight up a 7 reference, which I actually didn't realize until the other day myself. I was like, wait a minute. And then this article came out. And I was like, yeah, I thought of that 2 days ago.
You got a couple of other references as well in it that you've got in. You've got the outfit from the veteran rewards for Cloud. Remember?
Yeah.
You have the wind up minions from FanFest that you could get. Wind up Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa, which are currently purchased on the Mog Station. If you didn't go to FanFest. There's it's not exactly a reference, but there's a Fate that kind of drops his sword in one of the Stormblood areas. It's not exactly his sword, but it looks kind of like one. Yeah, Yanxia. Yeah. There's a Fate there that kind of drops a Dark Knight sword that looks a bit like Cloud's sword from 7. There's a few nods to 7 and 14. But I want more.
Was Gold Saucer first in 7? I don't actually know. I thought
it was. It was first in 7.
Okay,
yeah, it was first in 7.
Oh, and you know what? We have the Bee's Knees dance, which I assume is a reference to the honeybee. Honeybee. Yeah.
Honeybee Inn.
Yeah. We've got some. I mean, there has always been a big question in the community, like, when will we get a whole raid series based off of 7? When will we get a whole right? Because 7 is one of the ones.
As Gold Star says in chat right now, the weapons, the like diamond, emerald, ruby, sapphire. I totally forgot about those.
Yeah,
the weapon series.
So,
and you're more, as Sandra said, you're more also has the honeybee.
Has the honeybee as well, yeah. We have a lot of references, but I mean, of course, we haven't had like a full-on big collab thing or some kind of, crossover with the 24-man or.
Oh my god, could we get their dresses?
And I know. And even in the Omega raids, right? I think a lot of people were expecting that we would have seen more iconic bosses or even Sephiroth, but of
they
course,
had to save him.
In the past, Yoshida-san has said we will not put Sephiroth in the game.
Really? Did they say that?
At least from the hearsay that I've gotten from interviews. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody can always, correct me in the comments or anything else too. But I believe historically he had kind of a stance that they wouldn't approach that. I'm not sure exactly why, because of how iconic he is, because they felt like there would be so many expectations from players that there'd be no way to live up to them. I don't know. But there seems to have been historically a bit of hesitancy with that, maybe just because of how big of a character. Yeah, like Sandra is saying in chat right now, for those of you watching live or listening after the fact.
I think it's hilarious that they felt that way about Sephiroth and not Kefka.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think that there are a lot of folks who just through popular culture know about Sephiroth who might not know about Kefka.
You're absolutely right.
You don't really have,
but that's such a shame.
You don't really have. I'm in Europe, but you don't have the nostalgia of older Final Fantasy games before 7 because they weren't a thing. But, no, Europe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7 was our first Final Fantasy. Nothing before 7 got released until after 7. So, like, we don't have that nostalgia of going back and going, I remember growing up with that game. So 7 was the big game that hit. And then 6 came with a demo of 10. That's when 6 came out.
Ha!
Yeah, it's
That
wild.
is- You
So-
remember when there was a Final Fantasy game every year?
Oh my gosh, man.
Oh, yeah.
There was a span of time where there was a Final Fantasy gear like every year or two. It's nuts. It's crazy.
I mean, it's interesting
And as
with this.
Sandra said, Sephiroth was also a secret boss in the Kingdom Hearts and Smash Bros.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someday they do pull this out and we do get a Sephiroth, or we get a Sephiroth phase, or we get something, and then the community is like, oh my gosh, and everybody's losing their mind over it, right? Because that seems like a thing that you would just keep as a wild card in your back pocket at some point to play if you really felt like you just wanted to get a burst of nostalgia cash in from the community kind of quickly.
That's why I figured they were saving him, because like
Yeah.
that's a trump card.
I don't know how I feel about this particular interview. So, I mean, like we were talking about today, there's been a lot of news that's been released recently and a ton of articles that have started to come out. And so it's been good to go over all of this because there's just been like 1,000 little points. And this is one of the ones for me that felt a little bit less critical for me personally, where I was just like, fine.
Yep.
I don't really care. Not that I don't care about like having 7 stuff or anything, but mostly just because like we'll either get some kind of small scale crossover event, or maybe they'll do something like a 24-man or an alliance raid. And that'll be cool if it happens. We've seen it go really well with certain alliance raids, like Evilise. We've seen it be less successful with things like Nier, although the Nier fights and the actual designs were very cool. And the music was banger. Like, so for me, it kind of falls in that lukewarm category where I'm like, okay, cool. If we have to wait 10 years for this collab or whatever, I mean, I guess we will. It'll be cool when it happens. It makes sense that it would show up, but it's not something that like I am banking on for my enjoyment in 14, if that makes sense.
all I know is I hope they wait. I'm happy they wait until the graphics update, because of anyone's ever done the original 7. Remember, I'm not going to say what happens, but that fight, the last fight in the game, with the thing that lasts forever when you're fighting him. Imagine that with the graphical update. It's going to be so good. If they did Sephiroth, that whole spell would be so good.
I know that the Omega series was very hit or miss for some people. For me, I really enjoyed the theme parky. Oh, here's all of a bunch of villains from different Final Fantasy aspect of that one. I would like to see another raid series like that. I know that's a hot take for some people. Please don't like firebomb my house. But Sephiroth would make a good addition to one of those, I think. I don't know if that would be enough for some people, because like we've been saying, he's very iconic. But that'd be enough for me.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think it makes sense to try and do it after the remake has finished, but considering that we have seen how long this development is and how they're releasing it in all these installments with the supplementary things and all the things in between, we don't really know when that's going to happen per se. And maybe they do something before that. It really seems like it's going to just take a billion years kind of thing.
Expect the last one probably to drop in 2026, 2027. The whole reason why part 2, they've already started working on part 3. Part 3 has already started development. Mm-hmm. The main reason was moving over from the PS4 to PS5. That's why they had to have the DLC released, because they were moving assets over. So they were working on assets anyway. So they're like, well, we're working on this. We might as well just release something while we're working on it. Mm. So I don't expect a huge DLC drop between the two. I could be wrong, but I don't expect a huge DLC drop between part 2 and part 3 again, like they did with part 1. More the fact that we'll see part 3 probably 2026, 2027. Maybe. It's Square. I don't want to say in absolutes.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, at least they did acknowledge it, right? Because this has been a question the community has had for a long time. Will we ever have a 7, like a full-on 7 collab with the remake? Will we have some kind of thing that's going on? So I'm glad that Yoshida-san talked about it and kind of acknowledged what they've been thinking with it. And I guess we'll just have to continue to please look forward to it, you know? At this point, nothing on the horizon.
Yeah, what other FF references, like any game, would you guys want to see that we haven't seen yet?
9.
Yes.
More 9.
A specific part, or we did get Zidane's
just 9.
outfit.
We did get his
No.
outfit.
Which
I am
honestly,
I know
like,
I'm playing through 9 for the first time ever right now.
Mhm.
I've been streaming it.
Do you
I
love
have
it?
never. I genuinely do.
Yeah.
And I am getting more and more concerned every time I play it because I'm like, this might be my favorite Final Fantasy. At
That's
the very
fine.
least. I know, but I feel like I'm betraying my other favorites, you know? Like, it's creeping up there though, and no matter what, it definitely is going to stand there at the top of them for me because I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I thought people talk so fondly about it, and everybody talks fondly about the Final Fantasies that they love, right? Their favorite ones. You can see why people, like, what makes them kind of shine or light up when they talk about them and why those games mean so much to them. And it's not like it's unusual for that. But I really do think, like, having played through now, I think that 9, like, takes it to another level because the game itself feels so full of love and like passion, and just the world, the characters, the music, even the cinematic way that they interweave the multiple narratives. I've been blown away like time and time again by just the way that they intercut scenes with like this cast of NPCs, with the main characters and the entire ensemble, with like all of the different themes, the way that they just cinematically do stuff. Like, it really is so special, and I can't believe it took me 24 years to play it, but like here we are. And yeah, I've had the thought multiple times while I'm playing it that I would be so happy if and when we go to Maricidia, if they based so much of that off of 9. Like, I would be so happy because I think the world and characters and architecture and everything are just, they're just beautiful, and I think they would work well. So I'd love to see 9 in there. I think it would be great, and I would hope it would like kind of bring more people to try and play 9, because I know with Viper and stuff,
Yeah.
and some of the other Dawn Trail references that we're getting, that's kind of what kickstarted me into playing 9 on stream, as well as some of the stuff that I'd seen about the fan remake and, you know, stuff where I'd been like, oh, this one is on my radar and people keep telling me to play it. So I was kind of pushed to do it, and I think it's so worth playing, honestly.
I kind of always wondered, Zidane is and Kuja are obviously a little bit more on the monkey side of things, but I always kind of wondered if they were the inspiration for Mikote. Because they kind of just appeared in 11, I think. I don't think there were cat people prior that weren't like Moombas. So, just a small like. I wonder if
maybe.
that's really cute. I just kind of always wondered that.
I was gonna
gonna
joke saying,
say-
imagine if we get a sexy Kuja as the main villain for that expansion.
All right.
Can I just say that Kuja, I was not expecting. I have never seen artwork of this man. And when he sauntered out in his little, like, I don't even know, his little halter top with his metal cod piece with draped fabric strips, thighs out, stomach out, fabulous makeup on his face, I was just like, how have I never seen this man before? This is the most fabulous Final Fantasy villain I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god.
Have you heard the? I don't think it's a rumor at this point. I think it's confirmed. Zidane was originally supposed to be a woman. So surely no one's told you that yet?
Nobody told me that.
Okay, Zidane was supposed to be a woman.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and the two protagonists were supposed to be lesbians.
No, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What?
In the original story,
wow.
like, yeah, that was the
But
thing.
like Zidane's whole thing is protect girls. Well, I
So?
guess that could work even if you were a
That's so?
lesbian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't we get that?
I
Why
know.
didn't we? It is the first Final Fantasy though that does have an agender character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
usage of non-binary language to refer to them, which is really cool. I did not know that though. Thank you so much, Zanidra. Now I'm gonna be smiling all day. That's amazing. In my head, Zidane's just gonna be a woman now.
It's fine. I think it's good. Every time I start up a new character, I get the little Zidane package of clothes, and that's like the first thing I take out and just put on them. Just because I think it's so cute. It's a really good outfit for both, I think. For anybody. It's 9 is quite good. I never actually finished 9, and the more you talk about it, the more I'm like, I can just do that.
Fusion did also slide me on over a great mod for 9, in case anybody doesn't know this one, called Moguri mod, which has like high definition graphics and repainted backgrounds and a ton of different settings, like customization stuff that you can do to like tweak it to be a little bit more to your playstyle or experience or like things like that. So if anybody is curious about it, I would definitely recommend, because I've really enjoyed Moguri mod. And yes, it's an older game and there's things about it that feel like it's an older Final Fantasy. I haven't felt playing it like my eyes are bleeding or it's very timeless. And I think Moguri mod as well just like makes it that much more beautiful in a way that it doesn't feel like you're playing like an old game or something,
Okay.
I will say, in some ways, you're lucky you didn't play on the original hardware, because if I'm rightly, I'm Googling it myself to double check, but it ran at like 15 FPS at times, and at 20 FPS when on the world map.
I mean,
so it was pretty, but no, it
was
wasn't.
Old
it
enough
great.
that I don't know. For at least me, it was old enough, and I played it at such a time that it wasn't that noticeable. Like, we didn't have these super
it was
cutscenes or like even people who weren't made of blocks yet. So for a time, Final Fantasy games were just so far advanced past everything else visually. Like, it was
especially the cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
As Yutaju said, it was mind sharing at the time. It was one of my favorite games on the PS1. Like, I'm not downplaying it, but I'm just saying that now that you have the chance to play it in a better way, please just do that. I would recommend that versus going back to play the original.
I have seen some talks about, as I see chat talking about it, about what would happen if they made the Viper starting gear just Zidane's outfit, and how people would be mad because they wanted to play edgy Vipers.
I'm doing
Zidane.
it. As soon as I get Viper, I am glamoring Zidane's outfit onto it. I'm gonna do it. This is a promise that I've made.
Same.
And you'll see it on stream, because I usually stream the first couple of hours of that.
I'm going to call that, as a lot of people have said, that the collector's edition weapon is probably going to be Zidane's blades for Viper, which means I'm just going to glamour that on as well. So.
Yeah.
Perfect
we
and
have
beautiful.
We have a few kind of 9 adjacent references, including that outfit, including I would even argue that the theatrical airship, what is it actually called?
I looked this up the other day.
The one that we have in...
Yeah. The Garlean one.
Yeah, the Garlean one. I would even argue that is a bit of a 9 reference. Because, I mean, theater airships is basically...
Majestic, but I feel like that's wrong.
I think it's something close to that. But
it is! Majestic Theater Company.
I would also just love, like, we already have a bunch of it, and I know people maybe don't necessarily, they may or may not want more of it, but I would love to see them keep doing 12 stuff. I'd like to actually have more, like, regions, have some tactics references. There's so many cool races as well from, like, the tactics verse. I would love to see, like, there's Agel, there's, like, winged humans, and, if we're gonna get more races in the future, like, give us something cool. I would love some bird people in a game. I've seen enough cat people. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I think they could do.
It's funny that this article is like, where's the 7 references? When you're absolutely right, there's almost nothing 9. I think we have more 8 at this point. Speaking of, I would really like to see the sorceress's outfits.
Oh, yes.
In 14.
I really thought that was going to be the raid. I thought she was going to have that be. That was my fault. I thought that was going to be the raid boss. I'm still sad it wasn't.
I am happy we got the song, though, because that's probably my favorite Final Fantasy piece. Like, there's so many, and that is a big claim, but I love that song. Yeah. I hear the, like, dee, and I just get chills, right? I love that song.
Good. Yeah, I'm still bitter that they didn't go for it. I mean, what we got, the second phase of the fight kind of has some illusions and the music and everything, right? But, I was so shocked that we did not actually get that fight in the game from 8. Very weird.
Especially with the fact that they had, like, a time manipulating boss as one of the stages beforehand. I'm like, this is it. They're teasing the fact that Ultimisa is a time, based fight by having us do time mechanics before we go to the final fight, right? Right? That's right. Oh.
But yeah, I mean,
swarming throughout time.
there are definitely Final Fantasies that we kind of have more or less references to in the game, right? And I think the 7 one, as was brought up in this interview, is one that, again, a lot of folks, it's a huge one. It's one that was really pivotal in a lot of different areas of the world, and with the remake and stuff coming out, it makes sense that they would be talking about it. And I mean, obviously, we just had a whole other portion come out, right, with Rebirth. So it's one of those things where I'm glad that Yoshida-san talked about it. I think I'm sort of at the point generally for myself with 14 where I'm really okay if they want to focus as much as possible on original stuff for 14, but with it being a Final Fantasy game and with it having those aspects that do delight us or bring in references to other games in the franchise that we love, of course, like, I love to see those moments where they kind of strategically use it. So whenever we get this 7 collab